Welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Davis, and my co-host, Chris Branch. The 10-minute daily podcast where we strip off all the techie talk about generative AI and relate it to the everyday person, marketer, or content creator. As we've only got 10 minutes, we mainly focus on one topic and we basically get stuff off our chest on that particular topic. And in today's episode, it's going to be a really interesting one, actually. And Chris is really going to kind of teach me and hopefully you guys as well some things about predictability and people that's getting it wrong. So, Chris, take it away.
Yeah, so the classic thing that keeps coming up on our live sessions is, which of the AI movies predicted it the closest? And actually, it turns out that very few of them really predicted what we're living in 2023. So it was just interesting to reflect because so many people have their specific movie that they've watched and they think, oh, that's the likely future. Or if they're more modern, they're watching Black Mirror or something like that, and then they're going, oh, that episode's most likely to be our future. And even the people that made the current technology that's going viral, Sam Altman, the CEO of ChatGPT and OpenAI, he actually was on an interview recently I was watching on a podcast from the Salesforce.com CEO. And the question was, what did all these movies get right and what did they get wrong? And the thing that he pointed out was that the predictions even he made 10 years ago on the order in which AI is going to be able to do certain tasks for us in society turned out to be the exact opposite of what he actually thought they may be.
Yeah.
And
So
when that, yeah.
What were the three, four, five things that he thought would happen then?
Right, so you've got different types of tasks that an AI could potentially do in society. You've got manual labor tasks, you've got computer-based tasks, and then you've got creativity tasks. They're just three buckets that he talks about. There's obviously many other buckets that it could help with potentially. But in order of which they thought AI would be able to do these things, it turns out the exact opposite was true. Creativity was basically, because us humans, we're very proud and we think that we're unique and special, the fact that we are creative and the machines can't have creativity at the level we can, etc., etc., etc. But the thing that's very interesting is that all of the movies, all of the science fiction, and you can go any direction with science fiction, it doesn't need to be the way that actually they think it's going to work out. It could be something completely made up. And in all possible scenarios, it was unlikely, even predicted by the experts, that we would be in this scenario in 2023, where creativity is something that's used a lot in marketing for generative AI. Also, computer-based tasks are going to be more and more automated by agents eventually, and that manual tasks are the hardest thing for the AI actually to do. Whereas, like I said, they predicted manual, then computer, and maybe never creativity. So then it's the opposite of what everyone thought.
So he thought that, I guess, a few years ago, that the first things that AI would do would be manual tasks like, I don't know, painting or
like automated robots in factories and stuff that would use AI to, because essentially he saw it as more of a business model, I suppose, where who's got the big money and who's willing to pay tens of millions to invest in having this. Well, it's someone in a big, warehouse manufacturing or something like this, as opposed to, it would be for the everyday user to use ChatGPT to write their emails or DALL-E to make images for them. And, that's not what they ever predicted would be the user that would explode and go off and take off first.
You know what? That doesn't surprise me because most predictions are wrong anyway. Not everyone's Nostradamus. So most predictions are wrong anyway. So it's interesting that he said that that he originally thought manual computer tasks, creativity, and then it's gone creativity the other way. Especially when you relate it to films, because when you look at films where the AI is kind of taking over the world, etc., you kind of look at it that way, as in manual first. You look at Age of Ultron or any of these films, it's kind of
the
usually,
robots are coming.
Yeah, the robots are coming. But it's interesting it's gone the other way. Now, my conspiracy theory hat kicks in now. Was it by design that it's gone this way? Was it let's get people used to it? Let's get them excited, because creativity could be, obviously that's where a lot of excitement comes from. And then we can start getting into some of the techie stuff to make it more convenient for people before we manually take over. Or is it a case of saying, as you mentioned, manual will never come, so
Mm,
to protect your place in society, start learning manual tasks,
yeah.
because we might be a long way for a robot to come and fix my windows,
But
or
actually, you
fix
just
my
pressed on a
car, like
really good
mechanics and
point.
stuff.
Actually,
Mm,
I'd say not even just manual tasks, but in our profession where there's not much manual stuff, face to face stuff is going to be more and more important,
yeah,
and AI will allow us to have more of that. When you become more efficient in your computer tasks, you can go and meet people face to face and have more human activity and touch.
yeah,
So you do need to upskill and practice those things, especially if you've been like me and been a hermit in the pandemic and had to sit in their office for 3 years and not hardly meet anyone face to face. You've got to refresh those skills because you're like,
yeah.
AI is going to allow us to be able to meet more people and have those human based contact. If anything, it's going to allow more human to human contact. Ironically, people say it's the opposite.
That's your prediction.
I hope that's my prediction.
But will it be right?
I'm the
Yeah.
positive, like I'm always trying to think of the best case scenario,
Yeah.
for AI and
It's
work towards
interesting
that.
about the films, though, because for me, I always said, certain things that I've watched and I thought, okay, this is the way the world's going to go. Black Mirror is one of them. There was a TV show on the BBC called Years on Years. Have you ever seen it?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Whoever's watching, listening, try and I don't know if it's on iPlayer, or I don't know if you can find it, but it was a really good show. It had Emma Thompson in it, and it had
Oh, wow.
that she was the only one that was kind of like known. Like everyone
Mm.
else was actors actresses I've never seen before, but they were really good. Um, I'll get one girl. I think her name's called Lydia West, and she was in what was that? There was another show that she was in, but I really like her. She's really good. And so Black Mirror, Years and Years, and this TV and the film Ready, or book Ready Player One. For me, I was looking at that and I was thinking, that's the way the future is going to go. I can still kind of see it going that way as well. But for example, in Years on Years, without spoiling it, a lot of it was about not necessarily wearable technology, but technology that's embedded within
Mm.
humans. You know, for me, that's crazy. For my son, who's one, I
Mm.
wouldn't be surprised by the time he gets, well, definitely gets to my age, but by the time he's in his 20s, I don't know, I could see it just being a normal part of life,
Mm.
and
It's going to be a weird societal barrier, isn't it?
yeah,
Because we've stopped evolving because of agriculture and technology is the way we're going to probably evolve, and so it is a weird way how we integrate with it, whether or not we feel like we want to integrate with it. I find that there's some companies out there that are working on technologies that are non-immersive.
mm,
It may be that you don't literally need a computer chip in your brain. You're just able to beam those things into your brain in certain ways. And let's see, it's a weird future.
yeah, weird
Certainly is.
future.
One thing that's, in a nutshell for this episode is that technology is so hard to predict.
Yeah,
Pretty much. It's always wrong, the predictions around technology, because of how, steep the curve is.
yeah. It's a big learning curve. Predictions are always wrong, but what isn't wrong is just kind of seeing the now, being in the now,
Yeah.
and seeing what works.